Mr. Tickel by Roger Hargreaves. It was a warm sunny morning in a small house at the other side of the wood. Mr. Tickle was asleep. You didn't know that there was such a thing as tickle, did you? Well, there is. Tickles are small and round and stretched, and they have arms and stretch and stretch and stretch, except ordinary long arms. Mr. Tickle was fast asleep. He was having a dream. It must have been a very funny dream, because it made him laugh out loud and woke him up. He sat up in bed, stretched his ordinary long arms, and yawned at the enormous yawn. Mr. Tickle felt hungry, so do you know what he did? He reached out one of his extraordinary long arms, or opened his bedroom door, reached down to the stairs, opened the kitchen door, reached into the kitchen cupboard, opened the biscuit, took out a biscuit, brought it back upstairs and through the bedroom door and back to Mr. Tickle in bed. As you see, it's very useful indeed. Having arms as Mr. Tickle, the Tickle munches biscuit. He looked out of the window. Today looks very much like a tickling day, he thought to himself. So later that morning, after Mr. Tickle had made his bed and cooked his breakfast, he set off through the wood. As he along, kept his eyes very wide open, looking for somebody to tickle, looking anybody to tickle. Eventually, Mr. Tickle came to a school. There was nobody, so reaching up his extraordinarily long arms to a high window ledge, Mr. Tickle pulled himself and peeped through the open window. Inside the classroom, there were children sitting at their desk and a teacher writing on the blackboard. Mr. Tickle waited a minute and then reached into the window. Mr. Tickle's extraordinary long arm went right to the teacher, paused, and then tickled. The teacher jumped into the air and turned around very quickly to see who was there, but there was nobody there. Mr. Tickle grinned a mischievous grin. He waited another minute and then tickled the teacher again. This time he kept on tickling until soon the teacher was laughing out loud and saying, stop it, over and over again. All the children were laughing too at the sounding at such a funny sight. There was a terrible pandemonium. Eventually, Mr. Tickle thought that he had enough fun, so he gave it to another tickle one more time for good luck, and then very quietly brought his arm back to the open window. Chuckling to himself, he jumped out from the window, leaving the poor teacher to explain what was all about, which of course he couldn't. Then Mr. Tickle went to the town. And what a day Mr. Tickle had. He tickled the policeman on traffic duty at the crossroad in the middle of the town. It caused enormous traffic jam. He tickled the green grocery he was peeling apples neatly in his shop window. The green grocer fell over backwards and the apples rolled all over the shop. At the railway station, the guard was about to wave his flag for the train to leave. As he lifted his arm in the air, Mr. Tickle tickled him, and every time he tried to wave his flag, Mr. Tickle tickled him until the train was 10 minutes late, leaving the station, and all the passenger were furious. That day, Mr. Tickle tickled everybody. He tickled the doctor, he tickled the butcher. He even tickled old Mr. Stab, the postman, who dropped all his letter into a puddle. Then Mr. Tickle went home, sitting in his armchair and in his small house at the other side of the wood. He laughed and laughed every time he thought about all the people he had tickled. So if you are any way ticklish, beware of Mr. Tickle and those extraordinarily long arms of his. Just think, perhaps he's somewhere about at this very moment while you're reading this book. Perhaps that extraordinarily long arms of his room are already creeping up the door of this room. Perhaps its opening door now coming into the room. Perhaps before you know what is happening, you will be well and truly tickled.